Hey, welcome to my channel. This is Jill Morris Smith, also known as a Savvy Servant, also known as a nonprofit expert, and also known as your nonprofit coach. If you are a nonprofit founder and you are trying to grow your nonprofit organization, whether you're just starting out or you've been in existence for a while, I'm your girl. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put on your notifications so that these videos can help. All right, so before we get started, if you are new here or if you have been here for a while and you have not taken advantage of my free nonprofit development training, you will need to do that. You would want to do that because a lot of things that I talk about here on my channel uh, may either go over your head or you may implement something that is not strategically how I suggest you should do it. So take advantage of that training. As I said, it is absolutely free. There's no obligation. Only thing it'll cost you is your name and your email address, so I'll know where to send the link for to access that training. You can go to my website, thesavvyservant.com, and get that free training. And yeah, and then tune in regularly to this channel. Turn on your notifications. All right, so today I am going to talk about how to create a fundraising plan. So just so you know, this is, I want to say it's like a piggyback or part two of the video I did called How to Create a Strategic Plan. Let me just recap really quickly how to create a strategic plan, what it is. So a strategic plan is done annually, is usually in a perfect world, in a perfect setting, in a perfect organization, or getting to perfection. Your board will come together, you and your board will come together at a retreat, at an annual retreat, preferably, November, to plan for the following year. No later than getting together in January to plan for that calendar year. But you and the board will get together and you will go over, of course, assessing what you did last year and what worked, what didn't work. Look over what you want to do for the upcoming year and plan accordingly, plan that strategic plan. Also, during that year, according to what you want to plan for your nonprofit, you and the board will come together and do a budget. So, from that budget, one of the things that's on your strategic plan is one of the 8 parts of a sustainable nonprofit, uh, and it's listed as a priority area. So if you have not watched the video, The 8 Parts of a Sustainable Nonprofit, please go watch that video as well. But usually, so some of the areas, one of the parts is like programs or operations. Fundraising is one of those parts that you need to sustain. So every single year, if nothing else, you should have fundraising on your strategic plan as a priority for your nonprofit. With that being said, you and the board to look at fundraising and what you want to do to fundraise, and you will think in terms of the whole year. So you will look at some of the things you want to do. Maybe you want to increase your individual donor database by, I don't know, 150 monthly donors, getting 150 donations. Maybe you want to increase your foundation grants for the year, 2 to 5 grants a year, whatever those financial goals or fundraising goals you want to do is for the year. Also, you'll talk about a budget, how much it will cost for the entire year across the organization. And so, looking at the budget, looking how much funds you need to raise, in addition to the revenue you already have, well, maybe you don't even have any revenue as of yet, but you look at, you determine at that in your strategic plan and during that annual retreat with your board, you determine this is how much money it will cost and this is how much money we need to raise. So say for instance your fundraising goal in your strategic plan for the year is say $35,000, which is not a lot of money talking about the year. So you leave the retreat and you being the one who's in the day-to-day operations, I'm assuming if you're the founder, I'm assuming you're acting as the executive director, or at least the uh, um, maybe director of programs, operations, what have you. I'm assuming that you are working in the day-to-day of the operations. You're not on the board side. So you come back from the retreat with your board, and Monday morning, you sit in your office, your home office, or wherever you're working from right now, with your nonprofit, and you need to develop a fundraising plan based off of the strategic plan that you all set in place at the retreat. So one of the first things you need to do is you need to assess what you did last year. What you did last year, what worked, what didn't work. For a lot of you all, what's not working is you pouring in your own personal money into your nonprofit. And let me just say this, if you are doing that, and I know you want to get this business up and running, this nonprofit, this organization up and running, be very careful with putting your own personal funds in. I would strongly advise that you treat yourself as you are a donor. And so make sure you are, I would set aside a certain amount of money per month, and I would, put yourself in as a donor. This is what you gave. Make sure you have documentation, a thank you letter to yourself for tax purposes. Also, to your, make sure you, when your board comes together and meet and you going over your financials, that you will include yourself. That this is how much money I gave personally to this nonprofit. You just want to make sure you cover yourself, and you don't want to be looked at as doing self dealings or anything, because it could be with the greatest intent and so innocent, but can come across as a side eye or red flag. So make sure you cover yourself. With that being said, we're going to target this year for not having to put in any personal funds. All right. So you want to assess what you did last year, what you did wrong, what you did right. If you missed Giving Tuesday last year, you definitely want to be strategic in your fundraising plan. If you miss giving season, I like to say giving season is November 1st to December 31st. Most people say December 1st to December 31st, but I say November 1st because that is going into, a lot of people do charitable work. They're liberal with their giving. They're in a happy giving uh, um, uh, spirit. It's Thanksgiving. There's a lot of volunteering going on. It's also Nonprofit Awareness Month. So November 1st is a great time to start it's a great time to have some fundraising efforts. But you don't want to wait till November and December to fundraise, because you still got 10 whole months that you are leaving money on the table that you can be fundraising. So if $35,000, say that's our fictitious goal, you're trying to raise $35,000 for the year. You know what your spending is and what your spending needs are, according to the meeting you just came from your wonderful retreat in the Caribbean with your board. And you're coming back and you're saying, okay, well, I gotta, get to work. I got to raise some funds. So I would suggest the first thing you do after assessing what you did right, what you did wrong last year, then whatever you did right, let's, times that, let's like really put more effort into that in a more strategic way. So just so you know, in the Activate Toolkit, there is a fundraising template planner that has all of this laid out, and a strategic plan template. But if you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm gonna tell you how to do it here on your own piece of paper, because sometimes that works better. So I would divide it in 12 months, like however you want to lay it out, 12 months, and so you know that 35,000. I think this is right. 35,000 for 12 months. If you divide it into 12, that's about $3,000 per month you need to raise. $3,000 per month you need to raise. So if the board is suggesting that that's how much you raise, I like to say, okay, I'm gonna take it up a little higher. I would say I'm shooting for $4,000 to $5,000, because there are some fundraising tools that you may want to put in place that was not accounted for. For instance, like the Foundation Center has a grants database that is a couple of $1,000s a month. So just say, for instance, you didn't budget for that, you forgot all about that at the retreat, or you came across this tool, and It's like, okay, well, we didn't consider that at the retreat when we were planning the budget. But so you want to make sure that you'll be able, if you want to make your fundraising goals, you want to make sure you get all the fundraising tools you need to get so that you can, make sure that you're meeting your goals. And sometimes that costs. So I would up your fundraising goal per month. So if the target is 3,000, I would say $4,000 to $5,000 you're trying to raise. So you think of activities. So all of your activities should be diverse. All right. So throughout the months, you should always be targeting individual donors. You should always be targeting your grants. Let me just say, and if you haven't taken my 3-hour training, realistically in the first year is slim as a slim chance you're going to get a grant, but don't fret, there's other ways to get funding. So product sales, memberships, all kinds of ways, but individual donors are probably your number one, not probably, they are your number one way to generate funds. And so every single month you want to think of activities that are going to go after your individual donors. So let's just say March. March is here. March comes up, and list all of the fundraising activities you want to do for the month of March. Say you want to do a social media campaign because you have your program that you have. You need to raise, out of that $3,000 goal or that $4,000 to $5,000 goal. Say a lot of that money that your nonprofit needs is for a program, which is fair to say. So you might get on social media and says, we're raising, I need to raise $500 this month for our XYZ program, and I'm asking for a $10 donation. Just a $10 donation. So you want to be creative. May want to do a campaign for each program you have, for each need you have, operational need, program need. You want to get creative, but you got to go after individual donors. You want to get savvy with your tools on social media, your fundraising tools. And so definitely incorporate per month how to go after your individual donors. It could even be cultivating those donors that you already have. Maybe you don't even have the money to have a donor database. So you may need to do some type of fundraising campaign to get, a donor database so that you can manage your donors. But the donors that you do have, maybe you want to reach out to them, send an email to them to let them know your need. We're trying to get a donor database, and it's going to cost us $400, and we're asking our committed donors to give us $5, at least $5. So the point is that every single month you need to be going after individual donors for whatever reason in some type of campaign. Also, every single month you should be doing something towards if part of the strategic plan is to go after to increase your grants, then maybe the part of your plan every month is writing 2 to 5 grant proposals. All right, so that is a part of the plan. Another part of the plan is maybe you're going to have an event. Now let me warn you about events. If you are using events as a fundraising tool, well, first of all, you need to be using your events as a fundraiser, unless your event is a program, which is talked about in the free training. But if you're using your events just to say we got a nonprofit, you are really putting yourself in a hole. Be careful with events, because events, for a lot of times, it is very costly, and you usually go in the hole with events. So if you want to have an event, or if you have an event and you cannot at least double what you put out, I would say hold off on putting events in this year's fundraising plan. Events, you should be able to get your venue for close to nothing because you're a nonprofit. You should also, the catering, you should find your caterer. Especially, you can get a new caterer who's willing to give you in-kind services because they want the promotions of their business. You may want to sell vendor booths to other businesses to come and display their products and services at your event. You may definitely sell tickets. You definitely want to maybe sell group tables, maybe a silent auction. But if you are doing an event and you're going in the hole and coming out of your pocket, you may want to put that to the side until you can build enough relationships where you can have an event where you can double what you put out. And you should always be planning your event the year prior, and you should be using the funds that are raised from that year set aside for an event. So be very strategic with events, but that should always be also be in your mix of fundraising activities. But overall, the plan should be broken up into monthly activities, and it should be a diverse number of types of activities. You definitely got to go after individual donors. Definitely want to do grants, maybe some board memberships, maybe board dues. Maybe the board will collect you collecting dues from them. There's a number of ways to fund your nonprofit. Product sales. You may do a T-shirt launch or sell popcorn or what have you, but every single month you should be doing something towards your monthly goal that feeds into that annual goal. All right, so I hope this helps. I wanted to make it as easy as possible so that it can be doable for you, so that you can do it today and get off running, because it's a lot of money out there. You don't want to leave any money on the table. If I have a tool called the Fundraising Blueprint, and it's all about raising funds on social media. So that may be something you want to invest in. I highly recommend it because it breaks down, how you can go after your money on social media, or go after donations and doing fundraising on social media. So think about that as well. But any of your fundraising tools, you want to make a list of those and you want to budget for those and you want to do a campaign. You can do a campaign for administrative expenses. Do a campaign. Be very candid with your potential donors. These are the things we need to manage the operations of my nonprofit, and I'm asking, if you can give a portion of, if you can give a donation to defray the cost of these tools we need, these systems we need. So yeah, so there's also a video on here that's here on my YouTube channel called I believe it's the 5 mistakes that is preventing you from reaching your fundraising goals. I think that's what it's called. So yep, so I hope this helps. Please give me some feedback. I love feedback. I love comments. Um, and yeah, let's go from here. We're gonna do this thing. All right. I hope this helps, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.